Well, Ulysses, perhaps the first of maybe many bombshells have hit the Rays organization into this very early offseason.
Yeah, big news coming from the front office, and maybe somebody gets snubbed, maybe not. Let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on the social medias X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime. We'd love to have a mailbag episode this week, lockedonrays@gmail.com, or you can email us on one of these socials directly. All right. The news broke on Sunday evening, I believe, that Pete Bendix is leaving as Rays general manager to take over as head of baseball operations for the Miami Marlins. It was Ken Rosenthal and his team at the Athletics who broke the news first, and then Mark Topkin reposted and published an article from there. So Pete Bendix, he gone. He's going about 4 hours south of here.
Yeah, he bent it south. Good for him, though. It's a promotion. For those that don't know, I believe front office moves, they can't work laterally. You can't take somebody from somebody's organization and then offer them the same position. It has to be a position above in order for them to jump ship. And this is exactly what happened here.
Which, by the way, the baseball title thing is so convoluted and confusing. I mean, at first I thought general manager was the top dog, but now you have vice president of baseball operations, president of baseball operations. There's so many director and coordinator titles. It's really tough to get a hold of that. I mean, when I was growing up, I just assumed general manager, that was the person, that was the individual that you wanted to be, but not really any longer, I guess. You want to have the head of baseball operations title, or, maybe I'm sure other organizations call it something else as well.
Yeah. And, I think it was like that when we were growing up. General manager was the guy that did the moves and all that. But now I think it has become more of a
I think it's a game so that they can poach and steal some of these players. Not players, but front office types. Like Chaim Bloom, for example, his title with the Red Sox was chief baseball officer.
Yeah, there's always there's always some kind of game shenanigans happening. So like we can stay with this guy. This guy can leave. Like, of course there's that to it. But I also think that it has become a little bit convoluted because it's not a one-man job anymore or a one-woman job anymore. It's more of a group project. It's Bendix, Rodriguez, Neander, and a lot of other dudes getting in a room and then talking about it and then going, maybe the final say would have gone to Bendix or Neander, but it's mostly like a group project. It feels that way, at least from the outside. So maybe that's why it's also convoluted, not only because of some bureaucracy shenanigans happening and payroll shenanigans, but also because it's more of a group project.
Yeah. And I'd really be curious to see, I would imagine that for Pete Bendix to leave the organization, one that he's been with since 2009 and has worked his way up, just a testament to grinding your butt off what you can accomplish, being an intern previously to that or concurrently to that. He was writing for, various baseball outlets online. Like he was a nobody, and then he gets the intern job, and look at him now. He eventually becomes an assistant of baseball operations, a coordinator, a director, a VP, and then the general manager before taking this deal with the Marlins. But I would be curious to see what the pay bump and the pay increase is, because as Chaim Bloom can attest, as James Click can attest, as some others can attest, the grass isn't always greener elsewhere. And the Rays have a very unique, specialized culture in a very collaborative environment. Whereas we've heard some of the stories and reports out of Miami. I mean, I'm just talking, I've got no ties whatsoever, but they seem dysfunctional. Despite making the playoffs, they seem to be a little kooky and not really respect or treat their people as they should. And it starts from the ownership all the way down.
That Kim exit did not look good. Definitely not after, she gets your team to go to the playoffs from the first time since 2003, except for, the shortened season in 2020. So that was a bad look for sure. And, you look at the last two exits from the front office. You look at Chaim Bloom and then Peter Bendix. Them leaving, it's like it could happen the same thing. Like one leaves for a big market where there's a lot of more media pressure, where there's a lot more fandom pressure, and you're giving a big budget, so you can really work quote unquote magic with it more than you did with the Rays. Boom, doesn't work out.
Or the opposite too, where you're hired from the Rays to go to an organization like the Red Sox, where they've always had a ballooning payroll and a ballooning budget. And your directive is, no, you need to cut the fat, whatever, however, wherever, whenever. And that is so such the antithesis of what that organization and what that fan base is used to that just can't handle it.
Well, also, I mean, in his particular case, it's also not easy when they tell you, hey, by the way, the first thing you need to do is trade for peanuts the guy that everybody loves in Mookie Betts. Yeah. So can you do that real quick? Thanks. Okay.
And where everybody in baseball knows that,
that it's happening.
Your hands are tied and that you've basically been directed that you have to trade this guy by a certain period of time. So the offers probably aren't going to be as to your liking or as they should.
Exactly. So getting back to the thing. So that was the Chaim Bloom experience, and then it ends up him being let go. And then now with Peter Bendix, it's not a big market team. He goes to a small market team, maybe a team that is in a worse position than the Rays with money, at least ownership wise. And then you have a team that hasn't really been that successful. So you have seen how every type of scenario the Rays are still being used, poached from either from a bigger perspective or from a smaller perspective. So the Rays are doing something really good inside that front office that other people are noticing. And we've seen this for years and years and years. But I'll be very, I'll keep an eye on how Miami does. I always do because of, the whole Florida tie there. But it'll be really interesting what he's able to do with what he is given, because I don't think Sherman's just going to just open the pocketbooks because he has a new GM. On the contrary, I think he wants something to be done in a budget.
No, I think that's why they hired him. That's why they liked Pete Bendix, is because that he can win on a shoestring budget. It's not like, hey, coming to the Marlins, now we're going to increase your payroll by 20, 25, $30 million. I mean, Bruce Sherman and his team, they bought the Marlins for such an inflated price. Like, they're in trouble. They've got to find a way to win on a $60, $70 million payroll. And part of the issue too with the Marlins now that Pete Bendix is in the fold is, they went 84-78, made the playoffs, and they've got some good key players around them, some veterans that I think can help out. Their pitching staff, even without Sandy Alcantara, is in good shape. But for an organization with a low payroll, small market, whatever you want to say or call about the Marlins, their farm system is in the gutter. It's in the toilet. It's in the trash. They were, at last I checked, like 24th, 25th in all of baseball. That's not going to cut it.
That's one of the
having
things.
Sustained success.
that's one of the things that Bloom was also instructed to do. Hey, can you help us with our farm system? Because it kind of sucks. And then he did do that. So maybe that's also one of the directors of Bendix has is like, hey, let's help out the farm. And
Right.
let's see if he does.
Yeah. And I know we didn't really touch on this either, and we've got more to discuss on the Bendix move, getting to some listener comments here. But James Click, who was with the Rays and then became the Astros general manager, like, it was so dysfunctional and so messed up there that he turned down a 1-year contract extension after getting to the World Series.
And winning it.
After winning the World Series, rather. After winning the World Series, he was like, yeah, I don't really want to be here anymore.
Or you know what? It was a slap in the face, like saying, hey, I win it and you only give me 1 year. What kind of ridiculousness is that? But I do want to mention a couple of options that could we could be looking at for the race here. But first, we got to tell people about something very important.
Yeah, we have to tell people about this, that you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get 150 buckaroos in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right this very moment. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So go ahead. Here's what you can do. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, to kick off the NFL season. Again, FanDuel.com/LockedOn to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, they are the official partner of the NFL.
Well, now with Peter Bendix gone, there's kind of like an exodus with that power void, and I've got 3 names for you, Kevin.
Okay,
and I want you to podium it. Okay, and most likely to get it to least likely to get it.
Okay.
Jon Daniels is with the organization, and he has done this job with the Texas Rangers. Chaim Bloom is probably right now waking up, having some coffee, and thinking, do I want to get back into baseball? I probably do. Mm-hmm. And number 3, a guy that probably has the biggest smile on his face, Carlos Rodriguez. Why?
Okay.
He's the assistant GM. Why? Well, the past 2 GMs have been assistant GMs before being GMs in Chaim Bloom and Neander and Bendix. So, out of those 3 names, are we missing a name perhaps that could have a better shot at that GM spot, or is it between these 3 guys?
I would think between these 3 guys, and I would probably lean more towards Carlos Rodriguez because he has been in the organization and he has been entrenched for so long, where Jon Daniels, as much experience as he has for the Rangers, interestingly, he's kind of Johnny come lately. He's been with the organization 1 year, and I think it'd be kind of a bad omen, bad look to, hey, you've been here for a year, we're going to give you the gig. And Chaim Bloom, I don't know what his situation is, if he's holding out for a greater title or a similar title, similar executive level role with another organization. Because how was it before? Was it Chaim Bloom that had Eric Neander's position, and then once Chaim Bloom left, Eric Neander got the promotion? Who was working for who, or who was working under who?
And Neander
because I think it would be weird that, if Eric Neander was working under Chaim Bloom, now Chaim Bloom would be working under Eric Neander. I think that could just be, some sort of a challenge.
But if we talk about, these names and how they're mostly meaningless because they all sit in the room, maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal. But I'm guessing,
That's
of course,
possible,
there's always a hierarchy of names that, it's like you were my boss, I'm your boss now sort of thing. Yeah, maybe that would be a little bit off. But I think it's more like group projects for the GM position. I don't think they want to do like a one person has to say, because what can happen with that. Like If one person just makes a wrong move, it's kind of a little bit more difficult. I think ultimately they have to have one dude in the room that stands up and says, yeah or no.
Neander. That's who
Exactly.
it is.
But that's
And
who it
looking
is.
back at it, I did do a quick Google search. Sorry, sometimes our memory, like
Yeah.
if it'd be different if we were in the room and we understood the pieces and the puzzle and the chess parts of, okay, here's who reports to who, and but from what I'm reading and what I understand is that Chaim Bloom was working under Eric Neander. It's just the roles are so messed up where I guess Neander was the general manager at the time. That was his title, and Chaim Bloom was working under him. So now I'm thinking of the general manager as like a lesser role because of the shifting titles and so forth. But that could theoretically work where Chaim Bloom is just implanted into the same position or role he had previously with the Rays. So all that to say this, I think the Rays, look, it's promote from within. They have options. It's not like, oh my gosh, as much as I'm sure Peter Bendix was valuable and helpful to this organization, not just recently since being general manager, but over the years previous to that, they've got a roster. They got a stack full of guys that they can just, just promote from within. One guy leaves, no problem at all. We've had this guy targeted to take over from there.
And the background. I like Carlos's background with the international free agency. That's pretty cool. And I think you would gain a lot from your GM having that type of background, because you might have a little bit of a different perspective that you usually don't have as a GM, having worked so closely. If that's said of baseball, I think that gives you an edge, and any edge that you can get in baseball, being the Rays and working with what you have, I think it's obviously a good thing. So I think he definitely is ahead in the pack and is probably going to get that new role.
Yeah. And I would think an announcement would probably need to be made sooner than later as we get into the throes of the offseason and a lot of maneuvers and a lot of happenings taking place. But again, happy for Peter Bendix and getting this opportunity. I'm sure it comes with a nice pay grade and pay bump.
Yeah.
Although, for him, it had to be a tough decision, but also like working for the Rays, you're in the middle of a really interesting and unique time in the midst of a new stadium possibly being built, likely to be built in St. Petersburg. So that adds a whole nother element and dynamic. And I don't know how much of the day-to-day he would be involved in that, but that's still a really fun, unique, exciting time. And being able to have that on your resume going forward that, hey, you oversaw or had some part in the build out of that operation can really take you a long way. Not just inside baseball, but outside of baseball. All the other professional sports teams are outside professional sports as well. So
it's like everybody's resume, right? Like if you were a lead in a project at work and you can put that on your resume and then you can talk about that. Of course, definitely that amps you up. But overall, yes, happy for Bendix. That's awesome. Good promotion. Good stuff. Hopefully he can make his mark in with the Miami organization. Now it's pretty cool that, if he's, got family, I don't know if he's married or has kids or anything like that, but if he does, dude, that's probably the smoothest, best case scenario is that, hey, I'm a 1 hour flight away from home. I'm a 4 hour drive home. Like that's as good as it can get in this business, like to not uproot your family or anything like that. Like, no, I'm here, dude. Like you guys are there. Like it's not even, I'll be there tonight. I will be there tonight. Like that's pretty cool. But
that certainly helps matters. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a trade or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 between the Marlins and the Rays. Yeah. They have collaborated before, and this might be another opportunity to be able to do that. Having those working connections can go a long way in finding need for need, want for want, whatever it may be. And you have the tie-in of National League versus American League. So it's not like you're trading within the same league or the same division. So I think there could be some moves down the pike for both sides.
Do you think Rays Nation is worried about Peter Bendix leaving?
Well, let's see. We have it on the social medias. How does Peter Bendix leaving as Rays general manager to take over as head of baseball operations for the Marlins affect the front office for the 2024 season? I'm really worried. Gets 11% of the vote. Let down, ... but will be okay. Gets 50% of the vote. And then probably very little gets 39% of the vote. So by this reading, the Rays fan base is very comfortable with the front office infrastructure that the organization has built year in and year out since Stu Sternberg was put on the helm. Again, you might at some point, look, what Andrew Friedman did with this organization was great, but how much do we talk about Andrew Friedman anymore? It's all about Eric Neander.
Yeah.
So I think there's some of that there. Getting to some comments though, Ty McCann says, good for him. It's a great opportunity, and I'm sure he'll do well for an organization that has been on the rise, but the Rays are great at promoting that next guy like Bendix, so I'm not too worried. If anything, I hear Bloom is back on the market. Samuel Bayless says, Longo for GM. Who knows? Maybe after his playing career. I would think that Longo might go more into the coaching route or be like a special advisor to the front office, something like that. I don't know if he wants to become like a Chris Young type or something like that, or a Sam Fuld type, whatever it may be. And then Darby Robinson says, frankly, I'm very happy for Bendix and Miami. The Rays will be fine, probably promoting Carlos Rodriguez to general manager, which in turn keeps talent in the organization. It also just showcases how well thought of and strong the Rays organization are or is around the league, as Miami clearly wanted to emulate. Yeah, I think every year when there's a major front office position opening, the Rays are probably one of the first calls.
Yeah, coaching or front office. They like what the Rays have done so far, and they keep showing it. I mean, the world of MLB coaching and front office is littered with Rays ex-players, ex-front office members, or ex-coaches. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, last thing here, I mentioned that, Pete Bendix is going to miss out on the stadium construction being part or even a bit part of that process. Of course, Miami's not getting a new stadium anytime soon, but maybe he's like, I'm going to cut my losses. I know there's some bad news and some controversy and some headaches down the pipe with the whole Wander Franco mess, with Shane McClanahan being out for the year. Who knows? Maybe Kevin Cash's message is starting to get old. There's new coaches that are going to have to be brought on. I heard that their longtime video coordinator who'd been with the organization since 1998 was let go. So there is some stuff going on with the organization as well. So not saying it's all, rainbows and flowers. I don't know what the saying is, but there are some challenges ahead.
I believe butterflies was
there we go.
Was missed there, but hey, everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. That goes with organizations as well. The Rays are not perfect. The Rays definitely have issues as well. Maybe they have less issues than their counterparts, but they of course have issues. And Peter Bendix might know what those issues are, and might say, hey, let me try something else. But I really do think like this does scream like, holy crap, this is a fantastic promotion. Like, you can't just say no to this. Like, you have to say yes.
Put it on the YouTube comments. What do you think Pete Bendix's annual salary is with the Marlins?
Is that public information?
I don't think it is. I do not think it is. It's not as public information what those guys make as managers, or certainly players.
What is
I have no idea what Eric Neander makes.
What is intern McGee up to? We haven't had him in a while.
Yeah, we need intern McGee to help us out. Maybe he needs a paid internship. Maybe that's the difference.
We should pay McGee.
I would say that he's making at least $250,000 a year with the Marlins.
Easy, bro.
Oh, you think like double that?
Oh, Oh, Bendix is making like 500.
Okay, maybe somewhere in between. We'll have to see.
Okay, I can live with that. But yeah,
And who knows? Maybe it's the base salary isn't that high, but you get a lot of incentives. You get a company car. You get
perks.
some of the perks, the pomp and circumstance, if you will.
Yeah.
I'd just be very curious. I might have to text him later and ask him, hey, just tell me,
Yeah, let's
give
do
me
that.
in the arena of what you'll be making. Is it and he'd be like, I'm making about what Joe Biden makes annually.
Yeah, okay, 400K. All right, I can believe that.
There we go. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.